Verse of the day 7 in Matthew chapter 7 verse 7. Jesus provides a timeless promise that encourages believers to approach God with persistence and faith. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. This verse reflects the heart of God as a loving Father who desires to bless His children and answer their prayers. This verse is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, where He teaches about kingdom living, prayer, and faith. The command to ask, seek, knock emphasizes active and persistent reliance on God, contrasting with passive faith. Jesus assures His listeners of God's willingness to respond to those who approach Him sincerely and consistently. This teaching builds on the Jewish understanding of prayer as a dialogue with God, now deepened through Jesus' revelation of God as a personal, loving Father. Meaning of the verse. Ask represents verbal prayer, expressing needs and desires to God. It reflects humility and dependence. Seek indicates a deeper pursuit, actively searching for God's will, wisdom, and presence. Knock implies persistence, continued effort, and faith that God will open doors of opportunity and provision. Together, these commands highlight a progression in prayer, from asking to actively seeking to persistently knocking until the door is opened. The verse underscores God's faithfulness to respond, not always with what we expect, but with what is best for us. Old Testament references. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 13, "And you will seek me and find me, when you search for me with all your heart." God promises that earnest seeking leads to His presence, reinforcing the message of Matthew chapter 7 verse 7. Psalm chapter 37 verse 4, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." This shows the alignment of our desires with God's will when we seek Him first. Proverbs chapter 8 verse 17. "I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently will find me." This emphasizes God's responsiveness to those who seek Him wholeheartedly. New Testament references. Luke chapter 11 verse 9-10, a parallel passage to Matthew chapter 7 verse 7, reiterating the promise of answered prayer for those who persist. John chapter 14 verse 13-14, "Whatever you ask in my name, this I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son." Jesus emphasizes prayer in His name as a means to align with God's will. James chapter 4 verse 2-3, "You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask amiss." This clarifies the importance of asking with pure motives, aligning with God's purposes. Applications for today. Pray boldly and confidently. The invitation to ask, seek, and knock assures us that God hears and responds to our prayers. Approach Him with faith, knowing He is a good and loving Father. Persist in prayer. Jesus' teaching encourages persistence, especially when answers seem delayed. Do not give up. Trust that God's timing and response are perfect. Seek God's will above all. Prayer is not just about receiving material blessings but about drawing closer to God and understanding His plans for our lives. Be active in faith. Seeking and knocking imply effort and involvement. Combine prayer with action, trusting God to guide your steps as you pursue His will. Trust God's goodness in His answer. God's responses may not always align with our expectations, but they are always for our ultimate good and His glory. Relevance for the modern generation. In a fast-paced, instant gratification culture, this verse reminds us of the importance of persistence and patience in seeking God. It encourages believers to deepen their prayer lives, seeking not only blessings but a closer relationship with God. The active progression of asking, seeking, and knocking challenges modern Christians to engage their faith and trust God's faithfulness. Final reflection. Matthew chapter 7 verse 7 offers a beautiful promise from Jesus. This verse assures us of God's attentiveness to our prayers, encouraging us to approach Him boldly and persistently. As we align our hearts with His will, we experience the joy of His presence and the fulfillment of His promises. God bless you and give you grace after grace.